What's happening, Captains? It's me, TruelyDaDumbest here, and I, for my first video, am going to do a killer tier list, but not just the boring old who's the best, who's the worst, because that's clearly the best is Michael, Trapper, Sadako, Clown, worst, Spirit, Blight, whatever the big one's called. I don't even remember her name. She's so bad. I don't play her. But today we're going to be doing a who I think is the most fun tier list. You know what I mean. I don't even know what I mean, if I'm going to be honest. Starting off, we're going to go with the Trapper. Now, I want to put the Trapper in A tier. I find the Trapper to be a very fun killer. I think that his ability, although very inconsistent and ineffective, is very fun when you get it just right. When you're able to do the perfect play, trap survivors, mid chase, get the perfect traps so you don't expect it, or that you don't expect. He's a lot of fun, especially with a lot of different perks. The synergy that can work with him is so good, which makes it even more enjoyable. On top of that, now, however, I don't find his add-ons to be that fun. I think he has a couple of fun ones, like trap placements, or the trap placing speeds, trap placing sounds, padded jaws, all his most fun and effective add-ons, if you ask me. But overall, reason why he isn't in S tier is because I find his fun moments to be a bit inconsistent at times, whereas others who will be up in the S tier are very consistent fun moments for me, even when I'm playing poorly, which doesn't happen a lot, I'll tell you that. But overall, that's it for the Trapper. On to the next killer, Wraith. I'm going to put Wraith at the B tier. When it comes to Wraith, he is kind of like what I described with Trapper, being the opposite of S tier. He is he's probably about, he's in between, obviously. He's either really good for me or really, really bad. He's either a lot of fun or no fun at all. It really depends on what kind of perks you bring, or what add-ons you bring. But personally, I find Wraith's add-ons to be some of the best and most fun in the game, especially when you have every single one in like the tens or hundreds. So it's just a perfect collection of add-ons. That's probably honestly the most fun part about him, is collecting his add-ons, because of how perfect they all fit with each other. It's great. But gameplay wise, his ability is fun, although it can be tedious and a bit boring and a bit ineffective at times, kind of like Trappers, but a little bit less so. Strength wise less so. As fun wise, I'd say a bit more so. Besides really all that, when I have good moments with him, it's a lot of fun. When I have bad moments with him, it's not really a lot of fun. It can be quite frustrating. That's pretty much why he's in B tier. Beyond that, there's nothing else really to add. So let's move on to the next one. The Hillbilly. Now, the Hillbilly is a C tier for me. I am very bad with Hillbilly, just to start off. I cannot use Hillbilly properly for the life of me. He is easily my most inconsistent killer. Maybe, actually, besides a couple others that I'll mention later on. But he's like Wraith and Trapper. I feel like most killers in this game, they're either really good and they have their fun moments, or they're really bad and you just don't have fun with them. Billy, I feel like, is a lot more leaning onto the bad moments with me, as like I said, someone with no skill. But when I do hit him, it does immediately make it feel a lot more satisfying than a Wraith or a Trapper hit. But those moments come and go a lot less than the others, which is mainly why I put him in C tier. But on top of that, his perk synergy I just don't find to be that much fun. I feel like he doesn't have a lot of fun builds you can do with him, unlike Wraith and Trapper. And his add-ons I find to be honestly quite boring. I don't tend to use add-ons a whole lot, mainly recently due to the Prestige update, since I Prestige all my killers, like last second. But even beyond that, I wouldn't use his add-ons a lot either way. Mainly just his turn rate, probably. I don't find anything else to be that interesting with him. And, that's really all I have to say for the Hillbilly. So, we are once again going to be moving on. Now the Nurse, I will put above the Wraith. Now the Nurse It's a very controversial killer right now. She's super strong, kind of hindering the balance of this game by quite a bit. I'm aware of all that, but I really don't care. I do find her to be fun quite often, honestly. But I do feel bad, kind of, when I do play her. Specifically, my build is my main build with her is a Floods of Rage. What's the perk called? Make your choice build, and it is pretty mean from time to time. So I do feel bad playing as her sometimes. Also, sometimes you'll play her, and she'll, survivors will just DC right off the bat. They'll just kill themselves off hook, which, kind of a waste of a Q if you ask me, if that happens. But beyond that, I do think she has a lot of fun perk synergy. I think she has a bit too much perk synergy, if I'm being honest. But even beyond that, she does have some fun ones. Like if you were to go with Dark Devotion Nurse build, that would be a hell of a time. I would absolutely love doing that. I should probably try that try that now that I think of it. Add-on wise, obviously they're just all strong as hell. Not really anything super interesting. So I don't really tend to use add-ons on her. I don't really have a lot to say about her though. So that's really it for me on the nurse. Moving on, Michael, I want to put above Trapper. I think Michael is a hell of a time. I said that 5 seconds ago about something else. Already escaped my mind. I have the short-term memory of a goldfish. But Michael is probably one of the most underrated killers, like enjoyability-wise. Most people, they'll put him at the bottom 5 on tier lists for how good, or character killer skill. I definitely do get that. I do see that. Without add-ons or his tombstones, he is incredibly weak, but he still can be so much fun. Getting those last second comebacks with tier 3, just getting his tier 3 in general, might be some of the most fun DBD gameplay for me. His add-ons too, like I mentioned, Tombstone, can be a lot of fun. Obviously, there's Scratched Mirror and Vanity Mirror. Great time. It's a lot of fun becoming essentially Five Nights at Freddy's character while you're playing the game, especially on indoor maps like RPD, Larry's, Old Hawkins, before that was removed. Perk synergy wise, I think he's so much fun too. I think his perk synergy is great as well. Like if you want to go Scratched Mirror, I believe that's the one that throws you in tier 2. But is it? I don't remember. Whichever. I think it was Vanity Mirror. Vanity Mirror is the one that throws you in tier 2. I don't know which one keeps you in tier 2. Whichever perk keeps you in tier 2 but makes you can stalk through walls, you throw Dark Devotion, Trail of Torment, stuff like that, and you're bound for a great time. Especially since you're basically just an invisible M2 killer the whole game that can see through walls. M2 killer, M1 killer. Beyond that, nothing really else to add. It's a lot of fun. He has great comeback moments. It has, honestly, probably some of the most consistent fun moments for me in general out of all the killers. Now, so going on to a killer who has the complete opposite effect on me. That's the Hag. I hate the Hag. I hate everything about her. Her perk synergy sucks. It's boring. Her add-ons, awful. I hate her add-ons. There's nothing interesting there. I only ever run teleportation range add-ons, and that's because I suck with her and I can't do anything else with her. Her actual ability incentivizes camping. I don't like camping unless it's Bubba camping, so that's a bad thing. I got nothing else to say. I hate her. I'm just gonna... I can't drag it off my screen. That's fine. You'll stay in the D tier where you belong. Doctor, I'm gonna put below Wraith. Doctor's a lot of fun. I do actually quite enjoy his ability from time to time. He's a very time-to-time killer, like I just said 3 milliseconds ago. His add-ons are a good time. His add-ons are a lot of fun. Even though more boring stat-changing ones, you can make a build around, which his perk synergy is quite honestly fantastic. He has some of the best perk synergy out of every kill in the game, in my opinion. Like, recently I've been trying out a infinite terror radius build with him, kind of like what people have been doing with Albert Wesker in the PTB, because this is being recorded before he released, only a few days, and I'm on console, so I haven't been able to play him. But his I guess I'll call it infinite terror radius, with his terror radius add-ons from Static Blast. You throw some distressing, you throw some You throw some of that infectious fright, and you got yourself a huge, like, ginormous terror radius. Mini tangent aside, he can be a lot of fun, but he can also be super tedious. I find his ability, his shock therapy, to be fairly inconsistent when it comes to shocking people. You bring it up, it zaps, but then it delays for a second, and then it actually zaps. It's weird, and it does get annoying at times. It's very easy to miss time, although that might just be a me thing. Beyond that, it doesn't hinder or slow survivors down enough to be super effective in most loops. So, it kind of cuts it there a bit. Static Blast kind of carries the enjoyability, because it's always enjoyable. It's like a beacon in a way. It's, just a beacon. That's really all I can think about, the only words I can think about to describe it. Other than that, though, perk synergy's great. Perks, or add-ons great. Ability, tedious, but can be fun. That's really all I have to say on the Doctor. Moving on. The Huntress. Huntress, S tier. I think everybody can say she's an S tier when it comes to enjoyability. Throwing hatchets, getting that down, magnifique. It's so great. I love playing Huntress because of how satisfying she is to play. She's easily up there as one of the most satisfying killers. Even just separating it from enjoyability, satisfaction, pristine. Her add-ons can be a lot of fun. I do like using a few of her add-ons. Eerie Head is probably the most fun that I've used so far, which is funny because it's not that good anymore. And survivors hate it, but I think it's a hell of a time, like I said many times already. Her perk synergy is pretty good, especially with the recent buffed perks recent perks that have been buffed through, activating through special attacks like Dark Devotion and Blood Favor. I think that just increases the variety of perks you can run on her, which is great. I think the more perk synergy the killers have, the better, unless it's Nurse. Nurse shouldn't have that much perk synergy. Her ability's fun, her perks are fun, perk synergy's fun, her add-ons are fun. That's really it. It's actually all I got to say on the Huntress. Great killer though. I could probably talk about her enjoyability and clips I got on her all day. Now the Bubba, the Leatherface, is a top of the B tier for me. Bubba's pretty damn good too. He's like a constant tier 3 Myers. He's a way more fun Billy in my opinion. That's mainly because I'm bad at Billy though, so let's not talk about that. But he has some great perk synergy, some really fun perk synergy. He has some really fun add-ons, a lot of great add-on diversity. I know Otz, he does a really fun iridescent flesh and speed limiter build. It's dumb, but it looks like fun. I said everything I said I want to say really quickly about him. He's a lot of fun. But if you camp as him, you're a horrible person. I hate you, and I'm a killer main. Now, the Frederick Kroger, I'm gonna have to put at the top of D tier. I think everybody can agree, Freddy's boring. He's boring. His teleport kind of sucks. His dream snares really suck. The fact that you can only, activate your ability while the survivors are in the dream world sucks. What kind of is a saving grace for me personally is how much fun his dream palettes are. His dream palettes, they're not good. They're not that good. They're actually probably one of the worst abilities in the game, to be honest, but they are a lot of fun. It's like Trapper in a way. You throw a dream palette and you catch someone off guard with it. It's absolutely hilarious. I love it. It's so much fun to watch survivors get caught off guard, down them instantly. Kind of like what Disillusion should be, but it obviously it shows survivors that's active, so that kind of kills the possible fun, I guess ambush method to it, Disillusion wise. Dream palettes though, awful but fun. His add-ons are all pretty bad, pretty boring, nothing super interesting or engaging. His perk synergy though works pretty well, especially with his teleport. You can fake it out, If you run the class picture, his purple add-on that I don't remember the name of. Maybe you should throw that on it. Like DMS, something like that. Barbecue. You can get yourself a really nice setup going. But beyond that, his add-ons don't really have any use. But like I said, his perk synergy is quite fun. Yeah, that's really all I have to say with Freddy. Boring ability, meh add-ons, and fun perk synergy. So I'll move on to the next one, which is Pig. Now, recently, I might have a bias with her. She's for sure not my favorite character in the game, but I've been forced to play her a lot through dailies and tomes, and I have had some really just absolutely fantastic games. Some of the most fun games I've ever had. That's why I'm going to put her in B tier. Pig is a very awful killer. She is my personal pick for the worst killer in the game. She's got awful slowdown. She's got awful anti-loop. She's got awful everything, really. A lot of people, they say, Pig's slowdown is some of the best natural slowdown in the game. I really disagree. Now, it might just be me having so little luck that I'm more likely to pick up a pile of dung than I am a brownie on a plate full of cake. But like I said, I've had awful luck with her boxes. I feel like everybody gets it off first, second try. Even with the new 5th box, it doesn't really help things. If anything, it makes it easier for them to get from box to box to box. Her add-ons, though, are a lot of fun. Her add-ons definitely rectify a lot of poor design choices with her slowdown and her anti-loop. Speaking of her anti-loop's quite awful as well. Her ambush is pretty weak. The fact that it telegraphs what you're doing like a full 3 seconds before you do it kind of sucks. Saving grace, though, for her enjoyability wise, is her crouch. Her crouch, especially with her add-ons, because like I said, her add-ons are a lot of fun, make her crouch so enjoyable. It's like Ghostface if every time he crouched, he was immediately thrown into Night Shroud. It's a damn good time. Just crouch walking up to a survivor, releasing, or standing up, ambushing, catching them off guard last second, making them piss themselves. It can be really fun. Also, to be fair, the telegraph of her roaring, her pig roar, can be a lot of fun to spam when you're in chase with a survivor, or just memeing in general, or booping the snoot, or trying to get them to boop your snoot. What perk? Forgot the word I was using this whole time. That's embarrassing. Perk synergy. There we go. Perk synergy wise, I think she has a lot of fun perk synergy. Nothing admittedly too special, but she does have a lot of fun combinations that can be done with. Although you can just do those fun combinations on most other killers and it'd work even better. But to be fair, nobody has a crouch like Pig, so I give her a pass on that one. Also, after all this talking, I'm going to put her above Bubba. Because Bubba, you either have fast, fairly unfun games, or slow fun games. Pig, you have everything. You can do everything with her. Clown, I'm going to move to... I want to move above Nurse. Clown is another one of probably the top 5 worst killers in the game. His slowdown, I personally think is actually quite fine. It isn't great. It's definitely better than people like Freddy's and stuff. His anti-loop, not his slowdown. My bad. Better than Doctor's. It's better than Freddy. But it is pretty weak. Yeah, as I said. It can be fun though to cut off loops just by throwing a bottle. Kind of the same thing you do with Pyramid Head. All you gotta do is throw a bottle in a certain direction, and survivors will just be like, nope, and go the opposite direction of it. His yellow bottles, his speed boost bottles, are awful. I don't think I've ever gotten use out of them, besides like light movement speed increase from time to time. I definitely think his purple is a lot more fun. His add-ons can be quite fun. He has some pretty fun add-ons. His iridescence for sure. A couple of his purples I remember being a lot of fun. Uh, his perk synergy is great too. You can throw really just any assortment of perks on Clown and you're bound for some sort of a good time. Like I remember I had a really dumb challenge for coup de grace. So I threw on Dark Devotion, coup de grace, Bamboozle, and Play with Your Food. I got a 4K with it. I don't know why. They were pretty good survivors, but Clown just has that kind of ability where you can throw anything on him and make it work in some kind of manner. And honestly, I respect him for that. Pretty respectable. Most killers, if you ask me, really can't do that well, but he does it to near perfection. I think if they made him better, he'd probably be the most fun killer in the game to do fun builds with. But that's all I gotta say for him. So, on to the next one. Spirit, I'm gonna put behind Billy. I don't find her to be as boring as Freddy or Hag, but I do find her to be very inconsistent when it comes to fun. I can barely name like 3 instances where I've had fun with Spirit, let alone played her well. I'll switch those. Sorry, I can't name any like 5 instances where I've played well with Spirit, let alone had fun. Whereas most bad killers, or most killers I'm bad with, I can name a lot of fun moments, like Billy. Her add-ons are very boring. They're all very good add-ons, but like Nurse, good add-ons don't really mean necessarily fun. I don't think any of her add-ons are pretty fun. I don't really ever use them because of how boring I find them to be. Her perk synergy is also incredibly boring. There's not a whole lot you can do and enjoy it with her. And that's really all I have to say with her. Really, I don't, have anything deep to say about Spirit. Legion, I'm gonna put the bottom of A tier. Now, Legion is an interesting thing. If you were to ask me 2 months ago, 3-ish months ago, if I found Legion fun, I would say, do you find getting sandpaper shoved up your rear fun? And they would usually respond with no, and then I would say that's my answer. Nowadays, that's like asking, do I find shoving cake down my throat fun? Yes, I do. And yes, I do find Legion fun. I think the overall, like, oppressiveness of Legion and the way they're so oppressive is a lot of fun to me. Running around just stabbing people, although I'm not great at the Legion, and although I don't play them consistently, they are a lot of fun as a killer to just play every once in a while. Plus their add-ons, especially their new mixtape add-ons where plays different music, makes their add-ons so much more enjoyable as well. They're also good, which helps because most enjoyable add-ons aren't that fantastic, but they have enjoyable good add-ons. Perk synergy wise on the Legion, you can do a lot of fun stuff. I know Potato Legion, he's done a lot of great and fun Legion builds. If you want to go, see some fun Legion gameplay, he's for sure the guy you go to. But yeah, I think honestly the most fun aspect of him is their perk synergy. Their perk synergy is great, as I've said 3 times now. Moving on, because I have nothing else to say. La Plague. I don't know. Plague is interesting. She's either bottom of A or top of B for me. Huh. I'll describe it and think about while I hold her here. Plague as a console player is very hard. All her timings, all of her her puking, projectile speed, it can be hard to manage for sure. It can be hard to use, but it isn't necessarily unfun. It's a lot of fun to fully infect a person and down them right there and then. It's a lot of fun to hit them with her damaging, her corrupt plague. Her add-ons are such a good time. There's a lot of fun you can have with her add-ons. I know specifically I do, in fact, enjoy her Iridescent Seal add-on. That's one of my favorite setups for her is Iridescent Seal. Her perk synergy is great. She has some really nice perk synergy. And considering all that, I'm going to throw her at the top of B tier. Um, she has a lot of the same qualities as Legion, if you ask me, but she isn't able to pump out as much pressure as the Legion, which is something I find a lot of fun, is pressuring a lot of things at once. I'm a very aggressive person when it comes to gameplay. One of my favorite strats in, for first-person shooters is to take a shotgun and bum rush them, and I feel like Legion kind of does that better than Plague. So, since I find that ability to be more rewarding for me, I'll put him at the top, or put him above her. That saying, of course, just because I put these people where they are doesn't mean they're awful. That doesn't mean I can't get any fun out of them. Besides Hag, I do find her to have a lot of fun moments, just like Legion. But I think the main difference, though, I know I'm comparing her to the Legion a lot, even though they're two completely different killers. But the main thing I have about her, though, is when she's not fun, or when I can't get a really good game going with her, it's a lot less fun than with Legion. Because with Legion, at least you're running around in a really funny manner. With Plague, you're just kind of swallowing your vomit in a really gross way. Beyond that, though, I don't really have anything else to add about her. I think she's great, but not good enough for A tier. Now, the Ghostface is an easy S tier for me. Easy S tier. Ghostface was my first ever, main killer. He was my first ever killer. He was the first killer I ever bought. Him and Nemesis were both the reason I joined the game. Nemesis, because Nemesis was new. I didn't even know what Resident Evil was. I just saw this big lumbering mass of a beefcake, and I thought, yes, please. And I was a big Scream fan at the time. At the time, it was my favorite horror movie. So I thought, why not get the Ghostface? And I've enjoyed both of them ever since. Definitely the Ghostface more so. I find his kind of like Pig's Crouch. His ability to stealth around crouched is hilarious. I think his ability to teabag is hilarious. I think his Mori is great. I think, especially now with his new add-ons, are fantastic. His old add-ons sucked and were boring. But these recent changes have been fantastic for him. His add-on game is a lot more enjoyable, which in turn makes his gameplay as a whole more enjoyable. And because of his add-on changes too, I think it really makes his perk synergy a lot more fun. A lot more options, especially with buffs to a lot of really dumb perks, like Dark Devotion. I feel like you can do some really stupid builds with him, kind of like a Night Shroud fake out build. That'd be pretty funny. But I can't think of any others on the top of my head, to be honest. But beyond that, I just find him to be a lot of fun. I find his playstyle enjoyable. I find his whole physical gameplay aspect to be fun. I find him to be really fun as a whole. Now after that, we have the Demogorgon, which I will put at the easily top of A tier. He's not as enjoyable to me as Ghostface or Huntress, because if you ask me, half of his ability is practically useless unless add-ons are brought into the mix. But what really shines with the Demogorgon is his Shred. Shred, I will always attest to it being the most fun damaging ability or M2 in this game. I think the Shred is so enjoyable. Being able to lunge from massive distances, off of ledges, catching people off of loops that you shouldn't have, is such a fun ability for me. Like I said, I'm a huge rushdown person. Demo has kind of that rushdown vibe, especially if you bring his add-ons, which are all fantastic. Or not all fantastic, obviously, but a lot of great add-ons. You can have some of the most fun add-on setups in the game, especially like I said, his portals though, or especially with his portals, because like I said, half of his ability sucks. That half is the portals. I feel like for the most part they're not very useful unless you bring add-ons with you, which honestly kind of just gives more credibility to his add-ons. But beyond that, his perk synergy is also great. He has some of the most fun amount of perk synergy. You can throw Dark Devotion on him. I'm a big Dark Devotion fan, if it wasn't aware. You You can throw like gen kick builds. You can throw, which is probably arguably his most fun setup, Devour build, which you can just easily camp the hell out of. You can throw, you can honestly throw any of him, all of it, anything at him. He's kind of like, he's in a way a better clown when it comes to the amount of like fun builds you can throw on him. That being said, we'll move on to the next one, and that's the Oni, in which I'm going to drop. I will drop below Plague. I think that with the Oni, I have very inconsistent matches with him. I either play very well and smash the lobby, or I play very poorly, and I barely get anything done. And when you're smashing with Oni, it is particularly fun because of how much fun and how much viability his ability has. His Demon Strike, you go vroom, you go boom. It's a great time. But when you're not doing good with him, when you're unable to get his ability fast, when you're unable to get his ability at all, it's really either just boring or frustrating. I remember I once had a game on Sheltered Woods in which I got his ability once, and I found a single survivor throughout the whole course of the game. They didn't even heal. They didn't need to. I couldn't find anyone, and to this day, I sit back and I wonder, what happened there? But it's not important. What is important is his add-ons, which all suck. He has some pretty fun ones. I'll give him that. His add-ons can be fun, but they all are awful. He has like 3 good add-ons, and that's really it. For perk synergy, I think he's got some pretty decent perk synergy. I have unfortunately learned very recently that Jolt does not work with special attacks, so not as good as I previously anticipated on him. Although he still has all the other fun ones to activate with special abilities, like Dark Devotion. I will constantly bring up Dark Devotion no matter the circumstances. I love that perk so much. Back to the Killer, a lot of his perk synergies is great. He can do some good stuff, some fun stuff. He can go for rush down, he can go for slow down. He can really do a lot, especially if you throw his Demon Strike into account. But for that, you're gonna have to run his best add-ons, which are his recharge add-ons or his meter build add-ons. Those are for sure his best add-ons, and those are the ones you should always use at all times. Never use anything but the add-ons that increase the rate that his ability is gained. Those are his best. And I mean the passively gained, but I'm sure you understand. Any good Oni player or DBD player will understand those are his best add-ons. Before I catch myself on a repeat tangent, on to my favorite killer in the game, at the moment and probably forever, the Deathslinger. I'm a huge Deathslinger simp. I started playing him after his nerf, and even then I find him to be the most enjoyable killer in the game. The ability to shoot survivors and reel them in like fish is absolutely hysterical to me. His add-ons are all pretty boring, besides one really fun one. That doesn't mean that add-on is the only good one, because he has a few good ones, but it is for sure the only fun one, and that's a 0-decim coin. Reeling people in or shooting people from 12 meters away and reeling them in and insta-downing them. So much fun. You really don't get fun like that with most killers. His perk synergy too is absolutely fantastic. He has some of the best perk synergy in the game. You can throw any single perk on him, it's likely to do incredibly well. One of my favorite setups at the moment is Disillusion and Save the Best for Last. I want to describe it too. It's going to be a first for this video, but I'm going to describe why I think it's so great. Let's say you injure a survivor, right? Disillusion's procced, and you're at a loop, you injure a survivor, and Disillusion's procced. Let's say you have about 7 stacks to Save the Best for Last. You hit them, you reload, they vault the pallet. You shoot them as they vault the pallet, but because of Dissolution, it breaks and you can reel them in. Boom. Down. Absolutely fantastic. Has that ever happened once to me yet? No. Will it happen one day? Hopefully. We can only dream. Besides that, I could talk about Slinger all day, and I don't want to do that because I want to get this, as quickly finished as I possibly can. So moving on, will be the Pyramid Head. Now, Pyramid Head, the Executioner, whatever you want to call him, is A tier for me. To me, Pyramid Head is like a kind of a less satisfying Huntress. Actually, I guess he's more of an arguably more satisfying Huntress in a way. The ability to hit a pot shot through walls is something no killer can do. Not even Nurse. Because even Nurse, you have to go through the wall. But with Pyramid Head, you shoot through the wall. It's like Huntress if Huntress hatchets worked like Nurse. And I find that to be absolutely killer. Especially with his Trail Torment, which is an anti-loop in itself, because all you gotta do is throw that down and nobody's even looking in that direction for the next 60 seconds. I don't actually know if that's how long it stays, but I want to say that because it's satisfying to say 60 seconds. Now beyond that, his add-ons are some of the worst in the game. Arguably the worst in the game. He has 3 add-ons that I'd say are good, and then probably about 3 that are very mediocre, and beyond that, the rest are unusable. So that kind of kills his ability a bit. The vibe that goes along with his ability, I think, is killed quite a bit by how awful his add-ons are. But his perk synergy, oh my god, his perk synergy is just fantastic, man. Going Dark Devotion, you pot shot a gen. Let's say there are 2 people on it. You get the Obsession and the last person. So now your terror radius is gone. They have no idea where the hit came for. They walk into you, down. You got Infectious Fright. You can find the Obsession. Go get them real quickly. Down. You can do some good stuff with him. Probably some of the most fun stuff, considering you can go through walls. Especially with stuff like a Nurse's Calling. Any really anti-heal builds will work very well on him that I found. And Gen Kick builds also work very well on him that I found. But, yeah, before I get into a tangent about Pyramid Head as well, I want to move on to the Blight, which I'm going to throw right after Spirit. I want to throw him at the top of C tier. That behind Spirit is a bit harsh. Now Blight necessarily isn't fun. He definitely has his moments for me. Just like the Hillbilly, I'm awful at him. Honestly, Blight might be my most inconsistent killer in this game. I rarely ever have good games with him. But even then, besides hitbox issues, he's fun. He can be fun. His add-ons for sure help that. His add-ons are all quite fun. Especially his turn rate ones, the ones that make it so I can hit people easier. That's a good one. As a console player, I don't know if I told you that, but I do play on console. They are pretty fun. They are very helpful as turn rate add-ons. His perk synergy is also quite good. I don't play a wide variety of builds as Blight, so I don't really know what's the most fun on him. But what I have done with him has been fairly fun. He's also a really fun killer to test builds on, because of the kind of variability his ability has. And beyond that, I don't have a lot to say about him. Kind of just a more interesting, little bit of a more interesting version of Hillbilly when it comes to talking about him for me. So yeah, moving on to the twins, I want to put him at top of C tier. I love and hate twins. I think the twins could easily be one of the most fun killers in the game if they were designed properly. But at the moment, they are honestly designed horribly. Probably one of the worst designs worst killer designs in the game, stats-wise, of course. Like I said, their ability is fantastic to play as with add-ons. But I'll get to that in a sec. Victor is probably the worst ability in the game when it comes to statistics-wise. And I don't mean statistics like kill rate and stuff. I mean how much time it takes to activate certain stuff. If I remember correctly, it takes about 8 seconds after hitting a survivor to switch to Charlotte. It takes half a second to get to your full speed as Charlotte from switching from Victor. You can hit a survivor's Victor, walk away, and mid-recharge, walk 5 feet away. And the survivor will be able to kick you and kill you, and that is the worst. I hate it. I think Victor is one of the most inconsistent. Not as inconsistent as Blight for me, but damn, it can be really frustrating to miss a Victor hit and have to wait for your ability to come back to you, especially when you got a good slow or a good snowball rolling, and then the snowball kind of just shatters in half halfway down the mountain. It really can suck. It can. but add-ons do rectify that quite a bit. Now, for the most part, honestly, their add-ons are pretty shit. They don't really got a lot of good add-ons going there. But the good ones they do have are very good. Or at least used to be. And that was before they decided to nerf Toy Sword. But like, I got nothing else to add on add-ons, honestly. That's really all I have to say. Perk synergy-wise, probably some of the most fun for me. Definitely up there, top 5 with with Demogorgon, Pyramid Head, Clown, every other killer I said that with, which is probably all of them by this point. But I think Victor working as an M2 can make some really fun moments. Specifically, Dark Devotion. Dark Devotion is so much fun on them. You get Victor, who doesn't have a tear radius, sneak up on survivors, launch at him. If you hit the Obsession, you can further sneak up to them as Charlotte because they're holding Victor hostage. It can run really great. It can go really good on him, and I love it. With sneaking up as people, who even survivors who are throwing Victor off themselves. If you happen to have a couple survivors or a survivor following them while they're walking towards you or while you're walking towards them while you're undetectable because you hit them with Victor who has Dark Devotion proccing, you can get a couple downs with it. Especially, oddly enough, on big maps it works well. Indoor maps will work well too, but it can be really hard to hit Victor there. I got nothing else to add to that. Moving on to the Trickster. Trickster, I'm going to put above Spirit and below Billy. Now, Trickster could easily be the funnest killer for me. Now that I said that very weirdly, but as a console player, something I don't think I've pointed out before, he can be close to impossible to hit shots with. He is very, very hard to control with his kickback. And I know they already have it nerfed, or I guess buffed from PC to console, but it's either not strong enough or like Trickster's just too weak. On top of that, his main event is probably one of the worst meter build abilities in this game. You get all those knives, you get all that to get just at max one free down. More often nothing though, because the ability will, or the timer will end before you can even find another person, and that sucks. I think that's awful. I thankfully think his main event should be completely reworked. Beyond that, his add-ons are great. I actually do love a lot of his add-ons. They add a lot of an odd amount of variety, if I'm going to be honest, because most of them sound like they don't do a lot. But throwing specific add-ons can completely change your playstyle, really, which is it's a lot of fun. It's really fun when killer add-ons can just change the playstyle of the killer entirely. Not enough killers have that, that luxury. His perk synergy is pretty good. I found Save the Best for Last is surprisingly good on him, especially on console when you can't hit anything. But yeah, beyond that, I don't got anything else to say about him. So let's move on to the Nemesis, who I'm going to put behind Pyramid Head, if I can fit it there. Nemesis, right off the gate, all of his add-ons suck. He has like one mediocre add-on, maybe 2-3 mediocre add-ons. Nothing else is good though, or worth using, or fun for that matter. The ability itself though, is probably one of the most fun abilities in the game for me. I absolutely love using his ability. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm actually going to throw Nemesis right behind Ghostface. Nemesis is always going to be a character that I'll use consistently and love. I really can't think besides his zombies, any time like I haven't had fun with his ability. I mean, sure, his add-ons or his hitboxes can be janky, but even then, most of the time his hitboxes are janky can lead to funny moments. Like specifically, my favorite joke of all time with DBD is I could have hit that with tier 3, which is, if you don't know what that means, going from tier 2 to tier 3 as the Nemesis with his tentacle will increase the range of the tentacle by 1 meter, and a lot of the time you're gonna wish you had that 1 meter. That's what she said. His perk synergy is fine. He has some perks that synergize very well and are a lot of fun, but most perks I really don't imagine you having like a super like out there fun time. You still probably are likely to have a fun time with him though, to be fair. So not a lot of complaints perk synergy wise. I got nothing else to add on him, so I'm gonna move on to the Cenobite, who I'm actually gonna put behind Demogorgon. Cenobite is a lot of fun. The amount of mechanics he has built in can be fun, although I think his element configuration is a bit unfairly balanced towards the survivor side, but who knows, that could just be the killer main of me complaining. His chain is a lot of fun to use. It's a pretty fun slowdown, especially with its uniqueness compared to like Clown or Freddy. His add-ons are all great. Mainly his purple and iridescent are all super fun and add a lot of so much to his ability. It's honestly quite impressive how much it can add on to him. His perk synergy though is kind of lackluster. I don't see a lot of perk options when it comes to like enjoyable mixing and matching, with mixing and matching with his ability. I don't really see a lot of that in his power. That being said though, that doesn't mean you can't have good synergy with him. Because, like I said, there are some that fit really well. Save the Best for Last and Disillusion are two that I find to be super fun. Although Disillusion is not one you really want to do to get the seal the down, so you can proc Disillusion, of course. Beyond that, nothing really else to add. Find them quite fun. The Artist, I'm going to throw above Plague. I think her ability, the birds as a whole, is a really fun ability. I'm probably the only person in the world who thinks that, though. I mean, I don't blame him either. It can be kind of boring, just shooting out birds and not getting any results out of it. But when you really grow to become good as Artist, you can hit shots that you wouldn't even hit as Huntress. Her crows are kind of like Pyramid Heads if you threw Nemesis' infection at it, which sounds kind of meh, but like I said, it can be fun and it can be really satisfying to hit. And it's also, especially when you're cutting out floops, her add-ons don't have a lot of versatility with them. I don't often throw add-ons on and think, wow, these add-ons are a lot of fun, but they're there and they do help, and that's, I guess, all you really need for a baseline add-on. Her perk synergy is not fantastic either, which is honestly one of the main reasons I'm throwing her down this low. If she had a lot more fun perk synergy, I'd probably throw up in the A tier with probably above Trapper, maybe above Michael. But she doesn't really have anything super fun to go with her, which I think sucks. I think that if she had a lot more like perk synergy, it could be a lot more fun. Beyond that, she doesn't really have anything else going for her besides what I think her ability is. Besides the enjoyability I have with her ability. Next is Sadako. I lost my cross. There we go. Crosshair. I play too much games. I'm going to put her. I want to put her above Hillbilly. I'm gonna put her above Hillbilly. Her ability isn't necessarily as boring as Pig. I just think it's too weak. I think her Condemnation doesn't do enough, and I think her TVs are just way too weak. Her TVs have got close to nothing happening there. Sorry, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I don't think her TVs have a lot going for her. I don't think her Condemnation has a lot going for her. I think it's super weak. I think it's hard to spread, and even when you do get it up there, it's super hard to confirm the kill, especially since survivors can place tapes faster than you can down them from healthy to down. Her TVs can be fun. I do think they're too weak as well. I think they should for sure buff quite a bit of aspects of her ability. Her add-ons are all very unique. If you ask me personally, I don't think they're really too strong. I do think she has a lot of fun ones though. And if you ask me, I think that's all you really need with most add-ons. Really, it's just for them to be either fun or good, and I think a lot of them do both fine. Her perk synergy is meh. I think her perk synergy, not a lot going on there, kind of in the same vein as Artist. Although I think there's more perk synergy that she has than Artist does, but no big build synergies. which is kind of unfortunate when any killer has a fun ability that's, being down by their lack of build potential. The Greg, Mr. Or old Greg Sir, I'm gonna put ahead of Michael, behind Pinhead. I think his Remnant, although a lot weaker now that people know how to counter it, can still be super viable for cutting off chases, which is something I don't think people take into account enough when it comes to abilities, is even though they can be cut off well, you're still cutting off what could have been a very long chase. I think that's a threat that he embodies perfectly. His locker teleport is great too, some good mobility, but once you get Nightfall, that's where it goes. That's where it goes ham, man. That's where you want to get in. You want to start jumping around like Frogger. You want to get all Crossy Road up in there. You want to get all Crazy Frog. I can't think of any more references that involve jumping around a lot. You can get up and get down. But his Nightfall's fantastic. The fast ability recharge, his fast movement speed, all things that are fantastic, and I think make his ability even more fun, than it is without it. His add-ons, some of the most fun add-ons in the game. God, I could talk about how much I love each add-on of his every day, or any day, but just gist of it, super fun. There's always an add-on in there that you find that you can, for any action or any like part of his ability, just makes it so great, and I absolutely love it. I love it. It is, man, it's just, man, I can't really talk about his add-ons coherently without going into huge rants, so I'm going to move on to his perks. His perk synergy. I think it's a lot of great perk synergy. A lot of good, I think, hit and run perks work well with him, especially if you throw in add-ons that buff his Nightfall. I think that works really well. I think a lot of slowdown can work well too, kind of in the vein of Freddy, but better. Besides that, I can't think of anything else off the top of my head. So, I'm gonna move on to the only killer on this list I have not actually played. So, when I talk about Wesker here, I'm going to be speaking purely through watching gameplay. For all I know, my thoughts on him could change after the PTB releases and I actually get some game time with him. But just based off my knowledge of his ability and gameplay of what I've seen, I think he's going to be easy S tier. Now, what's happening, Captains? It's me, Truly the Post-Production here. I'm here to update some things, clarify some things, obviously change some things. When I originally recorded this, as I said at the beginning of the video, it was Saturday, the Saturday before Wesker's release. Now I'm editing this, and he's been out for almost a week now. So I'm just gonna update really quick. His place still stands. I think he's the second most fun killer in the game for me to play. Even with his really janky hitboxes, I still find his ability fun. I still find it engaging, and I still find it well made. I do hope they do some buffs to his, or they kind of do, yeah, I guess buffs to his hitbox. I think they should definitely increase it by a bit. That being said, I don't have any real quarrels with him. I think his add-ons have some of the most fun, compatibility in the game. I think his perk synergy is absolutely just god tier levels of enjoyable, as well as his perks as a whole are just super enjoyable. That being said, I really don't have anything else to add to what I said here. What I said originally is pretty much what I stand with now, except I have experience with it. Once again, hitbox should be buffed, but nothing too egregious. So that's it from Truly the Post-Production. See ya. What's happening again, Captains? It's me, Truly the Post-Production the second. Just want to add some things about the channel and where it's going to go from here. At the end, something I didn't do in the video, which I meant to do. First of all, this channel is not going to be purely DBD only. It'll be mostly DBD because there's always something to talk about in this game. So, expect DBD content for the most part. Beyond that, I do have other ideas for games. I'm playing through the Resident Evil games right now. So I'll probably do videos on that in the future. I'll do some DBD concept videos, commentary, gameplay. I hope to be an all-rounder when it comes to DBD content. And then, of course, as I just said, do a little bit more than just DBD. Beyond that, I hope to upload about once a week. I can't promise that for the most part. I do have a lot of stuff going on from time to time. But once a week should be what I do the most. Other than that, there's no real other channel plans. Maybe expect some updating to how I could do my commentary. Obviously, I don't know what else to say. That's really it. So, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please, if you enjoyed the content, like and subscribe, of course. If you want to see the full gameplay for every one of the gameplay videos, though, I have a Wesker video releasing on Monday, and every other video will have its link, or there will be a link to every other video in the comments of the video, or the description of the video, not the comments. And with that, I'm gonna go watch some WWE Clash of the Castle. Hope you have a good day. See ya.